Doom Eternal. Well, what do you know, a 2020 game. One that I actually bought on its release too. So, I mentioned in my 2019 video that this game's predecessor, Doom, or Doom 2016, was my favourite ever first person shooter. So I was looking forward to Doom Eternal a lot, and I wasn't let down. This game, man. You know that Simpsons when Milhouse gets bone storm and you can see his curtains billowing and his hair blowing back? That's basically Doom Eternal for like 15 hours. This game is like so intense and it gives you such an adrenaline rush, you almost feel like you need to stretch before and after you play. I'd be playing Doom Eternal for what felt like 3 hours or something, only look at the clock and only seen like an hour had passed. That sounds like a bad thing, but I don't mean it that way. What I mean is Doom Eternal crams in more gameplay and intensity in that 1 hour than most others would in 3 hours. I recorded a few gameplay clips, which is what you're watching now. In these moments, these firefights feel like 10-15 minutes long, but they're actually only like 3 or 4. I love Doom's gameplay. It strikes such a good balance of making you teeter on the verge of feeling overpowered and overwhelmed at the same time. In fact, it was my favourite game of 2016, which was no mean feat considering Uncharted 4 came out that year too. Anyway, I'm not a massive FPS fan. I like them, they're not something I play all the time, but Doom isn't really like any other FPS you see on the market. I think the fact that there's not been a bunch of Doom 2016 copycats in the last 4 years is testament to how difficult these games are to make and to balance and polish to perfection. There's no reloading, no iron sights, except for the heavy cannon, no cover shooting, no regenerating health. Instead, you get more than 2 weapons for a start, double jumps, glory kills, and generally I feel a lot more freedom in movement and a much bigger variety of enemy. All this applied to Doom 2016 though, so let's look at Doom Eternal a bit closer. On my first Doom Eternal level I thought, oh, here we go, we're back. Then on the second I thought, oof, they weren't messing about with the platforming, were they? There's a lot of it. In fact, one of the first games that came to my mind when I played Doom Eternal was, you guessed it, Ratchet & Clank. Some fans didn't like this, but I did. It never gets too frustrating or too simplified, and it breaks things up quite nicely, I think. On the surface you might think not a lot else has changed in 4 years, but going deeper there's more tweaks to the gameplay. Maybe the biggest is the dash and double dash. This immediately feels like such a natural part of your arsenal. It's so fundamental to combat and platforming that it's actually hard to imagine that this wasn't in Doom 2016. And secondly, there's even more emphasis placed on that combat chess term coined in the previous game, which I won't get too deep into, but basically get ready to use your chainsaw a lot. Using your chainsaw takes an enemy out and it will give you ammo for all your weapons. You run out of ammo every 10 seconds or so. And get ready to use your Flamethrower a lot. This will replenish your armour. You run out of armour every 10 seconds or so. And finally get ready to glory kill a lot. This will replenish your health. You run out of health every 9 seconds or so. I've actually seen some complaints about this too. I don't think people like how quickly you run out of ammo. You know, I think it got quite attached to their super shotgun or something, but I actually loved it. It constantly keeps you on your toes. You're always switching weapons, so that means you get a good feel for all of them. I don't know about you, but when I play through like a Call of Duty campaign, I'm using a machine gun 90% of the time, and that's absolutely not the case here. Since it had been about 4 years since I properly played Doom, the first few hours can feel pretty overwhelming, and not just in pure gameplay terms, although this one is a lot harder. There's lots of mods and skill trees to keep track of. You unlock 2 mods for most of your weapons, and they've each got their own kind of upgrades. There's Sentinel Crystals that upgrade your max armour, health and ammo. There's upgrades for your suit. There's Sentinel batteries for your man cave, which can unlock, you know, like classic skins and stuff. I've probably missed out a few here, but that's probably a good thing, you know. All this is thrown at you in the first couple of hours, and you're also dumped with quite a lot of story exposition too, and I was like, you know, just let me shoot the demons for a bit. Something the original didn't shy away from. And actually one of my few criticisms of this game is that while 2016 quite literally tosses the story to one side in its opening, it's a lot more front and centre here. There's definitely games where I'm fond of the story, but generally there's very few that I really care about. I've got the attention span of a cactus, so it's only when I genuinely like and care about the characters that I can actually bother following the plot. You know, like Snake in Metal Gear, Kiryu in Majima and Yakuza, Nate in Uncharted, all the lads in Mass Effect 2 as well. There's a few more, but I can't think of it at the moment. In general though, I could take it or leave it, as long as the gameplay is good. One thing that does my head in is when games dump a bunch of jargon and MacGuffins into the equation too. Doom's story is something about Hell Priests, UACs, Slayer. I gathered that 2016 was set on Mars and Hell, and now in Eternal, the demons had invaded Earth and it's down to you to stop it, but I don't know. Doom 2016 was very upfront in saying, your story here if you want it, but don't worry about it. And Eternal is unfortunately a wee bit more conventional in this sense. There's even cutscenes, where 2016 was quite insistent on remaining first person the full time. Honestly though, it's only a minor gripe, we're not talking about like Final Fantasy or anything here. And then, the further I got into the game, the more my initial concerns kind of melted away. For my money, the only game that has gameplay on a par with Doom this generation is Metal Gear Solid 5. I think I've just got a thing for games that are 60 frames per second or something. But that's a completely different type of game. For a pure action game, I think nothing comes close. So much so that as soon as I beat this game, I went back level by level, getting all the collectibles that I'd missed. I like what the game does here too. Once you're at the end of a level, you unlock fast travel. So on my second go of these levels, I'd storm through them, killing everyone as quickly as I could with my, my full arsenal, and then I'd fast travel back to the points in the map and then kind of find all the secrets that I could. All the enemies are dead at this point, so it turns into more of a first-person puzzle platformer. It's actually pretty chilled out. Yeah, Doom can be chilled out. And this wouldn't be a Doom review without talking about a soundtrack either. This isn't some Hans Zimmer score that you hear in every game for the last 20 years. These are actual songs. I love that Doom has kept this metal link too. It goes back to the 1993 original game's main theme being so reminiscent, shall we say, of Master of Puppets. Nowadays we've got the super talented Mick Gordon and his take on the modern games, taking inspiration from the likes of Slipknot or Meshuggah, or if you want to go a bit more modern and obscure, bands like Heart of a Coward or Orbit Culture. I've never actually heard these bands being name-checked as influences, but it's what I hear when I hear Doom's music. Like the Hotline Miami games too, it feeds into the gameplay, it propels you to keep going, and again it keeps that adrenaline sky high. Is there anything I didn't like about Doom Eternal? Well, aye, the Marauders and the boss battles. I really like the first boss battle with the Doom Hunters, but two more conventional ones near the end feel a bit more like a war of attrition than the lightning fast combat chess I'm become used to. Feel more like Destiny or something. And the Marauders, well, I like the premise behind them. They're meant to be, the Chuck Norris to your Bruce Lee. All the white belts are dead, it's time for the two black belts to go at it, that kind of thing. But in practice, they're just annoying. They grind the game to the halt and no one likes them really. In summary then, I love Doom Eternal. Do I like it more than 2016? I don't know. There's things it does better, things it does worse. Although I do imagine going back to 2016 it'd be tough not having that dash. And since we're talking about near perfection for what that set out to do, this is a really worthy sequel indeed.